What's up guys, Nate Petrosky from Jackery Homestead. I'm gonna give you guys a spring update and summer plans. I've kind of given that before, but this spring has been just absolute chaos, and it's really just because I tried to take on a lot of things. That's what I do though. I take on a whole bunch of stuff and know I have to finish it, and that's how I make myself progress anywhere in life, is just take on too much and then attack it until it's accomplished. Mostly I'm gonna go over the solar in this because I have a bunch of the components here now, as well as just some of the other stuff that's making me go really slowly on the solar, when all I want to do is just get that new system in place and get done with it. This is the garage that got built last summer. This is my existing solar, and what I'm planning to do is put panels up on the roof. Cool thing is, I have the panels already. These are the ones that are gonna go on the roof. This is the racking. I'm gonna have to get pieces and parts out, figure it out how it all goes together, and then figure out how to get all the panels way up there on the roof, on the other side, not this side. But really only half of the panels are going there. Well, 2/3, and the other 2/3 are supposed to go in a lean-to that comes off of here after I remove all this. But I need to get this system functioning, and I have most of the major components here. These are the batteries. They're gigantic lead-acid batteries. They're 930 pounds a piece, and somehow they have to go from here over into this closet. And I haven't installed the door yet because I don't want to fight the threshold trying to get them in here. But I'm going to just line them up 1 through 8 across there. On this wall is going to be placed things such as the charge controller, which I've got to get into, and I'm basically just going to put batteries, put charge controller, put solar panels, figure out everything I need to go in between. In order to make this solar happen, I just had to start getting this stuff and sit it here in my way so that I have to do something about it. It's the way I motivate myself. But I can see that this is going to end up taking a significant amount of my time, because the other thing I have to do is turn this into a garage instead of, I don't know, like I need a real workbench, and I have a whole bunch of stuff in other buildings, including the outdoor kitchen, which has in some ways become either a barn or a garage or I don't know what over the years. But anyway, it's just kind of a catch-all for all sorts of things. And of course, because it's spring, I've got all kinds of animal stuff happening. I got a duck with bumblefoot that needs an Epsom salt soak, just to try to make sure it does okay. The rabbits down here have really all grown their pen, so there's a second pen being set up. Hopefully that'll give enough room for a little bit. I also got some digging equipment, and I've been putting a level surface all around the edges of the garage. This will also help me hopefully stand the ladder up and get on the roof to install the solar. I probably should put grass seed on this, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. I have a whole other property with a house that has been demoed that needs to be rebuilt. That thing's going on the back burner for sure. I've still got plans also to get a livestock guardian puppy, and I'm still training with Az. He's doing really well. Most years I take on too many projects, and it's usually about 20% too much, and somehow I usually power through. This year, I think I took on maybe 100% too much. And with all the animals growing, and I always tell people when they start homesteading, be careful getting too many animals too early, because you spend all your time doing animal chores and things with them, and then you spend a whole lot less time building anything, improving, and that's totally where I find myself. But I think I have a good strategy for my solar. First thing I'm gonna do is figure out how to get big heavy batteries in here, start mounting components on the walls. I will need to purchase some other components and some wiring. Gotta figure out how to get the wiring from the panels all the way on the roof, down into this utility closet, and we go up into the barn part of the garage. I think I'm just gonna sneak the wires through the peak of the garage and running down the end wall, down below the steps into the utility closet. I call this the barn part of the garage because there's many kittens. They've been moving them here and there, but because it's all the chaos and craziness that has to go on down on the first floor, I need to make sure as soon as these guys really start moving around that they don't get smushed or otherwise injured and all the stuff that's going on. What is up, Katana? Who are you? Hey, why are you kicking me, dude? What's up, guys? While I'm making the transition to my more permanent solar power, I am definitely going to be taking advantage of this home backup system. That's actually what this corner is for. I'm going to leave it in here permanently, even when it's done, so if I ever have to do anything anything, I can always run the entire homestead off of that for a little while. But I'm not talking about that system today. What I am going to do, and introducing our sponsored portion of this video, is unbox and test out Jackery's newest HomePower 3000. I'm gonna unbox this and check it out for a couple minutes. This is the Jackery HomePower 3000, and Minion has carefully gone over the manual for you guys. It's amazing to me how they can make these smaller and more capable than their previous models. It weighs just under 60 pounds, an output of 3600 pure sine wave power, and can handle a surge of up to 7200 watts. Now you can use this Jackery just like any other type of portable power station. You can move it somewhere and have power where you didn't otherwise, but this model is specifically designed for home backup. You know you don't have to keep holding that, right? I can take it. Good boy. I've had Jackery's 2000 plus for a while now, and it's really awesome, and I use it all the time for stuff. Not only is that unit smaller, but it is capable of putting out more power and has more watt hours of storage. So besides being more powerful in a smaller package, what else is special about it? Well, as the name may have given it away, this is designed to back up your essential things, such as fridges, freezers, a fan, anything you might need in a power outage. Minion, can you bring that here so we can do the install? Thank you. This is my pantry, and inside the pantry, I have a deep freezer. I may have oversold the entire install process because literally I'm just setting this here, plugging in the freezer, and then there's one more step to make this a backup. Anybody guess what it is? Minion, have you guessed? That's right. We'll plug this into where the freezer was plugged into. Now, if this Jackery is not at 100%, it will do whatever it needs to charge it to make it 100%. That way, when there's a power outage, and the Jackery HomePower will take over. Wait a minute. I waited for it to turn on. Now I'm going to simulate a power outage by pulling the plug. And we had the slightest light flicker, but other than that, the freezer's still running. When it's fully charged, it should run a refrigerator for 1 to 2 days, just judging by what's actually pulling right now, about 95 watts. So this will go for 8.7 hours of continuous running this freezer, but the freezer will only run so often and then shut off and take a break. So even though this is only at 38%, I would guess I probably get somewhere around 20 to 24 hours at 38%. But obviously, leaving this plugged in, this will simulate power being restored. Everything's still running as it's supposed to, and the install is very simple. So simple, Minion could have done it. Well, if you had thumbs. Where's your thumbs? No thumbs? Of course, most power stations can be used to back up your appliances, but as I demonstrated, the HomePower 3000 has a very quick switchover. It's less than 20 milliseconds to switch from the regular power over to just using the Jackery only, and certain things may not matter a whole lot with that, but when it comes to a refrigerator or a freezer and the compressor, or if you have, say, internet, it will switch fast enough that that doesn't have to turn off and reboot, or in the case of a fridge or a freezer, I've done that before and it just sits there and the compressor just runs, it just sits there and draws a lot of power, and then I wonder how come I'm losing a bunch of power and the compressor's getting hot and what's wrong with my fridge. This avoids all those issues. Anyway, if you're looking for a UPS system, I would definitely check out Jackery's HomePower 3000. This thing is extremely capable for the size. I am very impressed that they managed to fit it all in a small package. And yes, Minion, I know it's dirty in the pantry. I do not want to sweep it. You just want to chew on the broom? If you chewing on the broom means I don't have to sweep, that's cool. Anyway, check out the links below. I've got all kinds of information there and you can learn more about it. Also, on May 15th, Jackery will be having a live stream on their website. You can go check it out. I'll be sure to stop in there for a couple minutes. It'll all be on revealing the product and what's up, Az? Anyway, if you get a chance, check out their live stream. All right, so let me go over my plan of attack with these. Move the batteries in there. Somehow, this thing's gonna be involved. Definitely gonna be involved. Once I put 2/3 of the panels up on this roof part, which is the only part I have ready for panels right now, I'm going to actually connect this system and get it running as much as possible. Because the next step is to build a lean-to off of that board out basically in the middle of all this. And this whole thing is gonna have to be demolished, but before I demolish it, first I have to stop using it. So I'm going to temporarily be using my permanent system, which won't quite be completed, it'll just be enough. I'm gonna have to run an electrical conduit from here over here to this battery pit. This will no longer be a battery pit. However, I have electrical connections and junctions. I basically need a giant junction box underneath of the lean-to I build, because that's what serves power over to the outdoor kitchen and the outhouse and the rabbit pen and the actual house itself. And I admit I have no interest in retrenching the wires from here directly to all those buildings when all I have to do is go about 15-20 feet, make a junction, come up with some kind of really nice weather-tight box, put it all in there, sneak my wires through the back, go into my panel box, and then my panel box can get fed off the inverter, off the new batteries. In my mind, as long as I divide each of those things into small projects like that, this whole gigantic solar project doesn't seem that bad, because I can divide it in 20 steps and just work on one step, and then step 2, and then step 3, until next thing you know, it's accomplished. But I just know between everything else I try to do, as well as work on my own stuff, which the animals and all that are my own stuff. But basically I have a lot of stuff. But it is just way past time that I get some organization in this garage, and now that most everything is finished enough, get me a workbench, put me some kind of cool shelves all the way across the top of there. These rolling shelves, by the way, are really awesome for temporary, and they will become permanent shelves up against the wall, but in the meantime, they can get shifted out of my way as I'm trying to do stuff. If all I get done this summer is keep my animals from dying, get the solar installed and functional, and get my garage organized, I'm going to be happy as can be. And everything else I've got going, well, it's just gonna have to work itself out, but I need to focus pretty hard on organizing the garage and finishing it and letting it actually be a garage so that vehicles can stay in here all the time instead of having to be moved out all the time. Anyway, for a little bit, there is some spring projects to work on. This rabbit pen is basically just needs a little roof on it and wire tucked up and some stakes. I did make Jen a little garden area that I kept baby ducks and chickens in for a little bit, and that's not really tilled up but tore up with the skid steer. I recently built this whole bank, and what's really cool is I increased my parking area because my parking area shrunk once I put a giant garage in my parking area, so I needed some more room. I was hoping this duck coop was going to be mobile again and this was going to be another parking area, but then when a duck decided to nest there and go broody on the eggs, which Khaki has pretty much given up being there, and now I have a Muscovy, which is what I wanted originally. When this year started, I was kind of thinking I was going to dig a nice house basement right there, which I'm kind of, you know, slowly working towards with moving dirt. Somehow, I just don't think that's going to happen. Immediate focus is moving batteries and putting panels on the roof. And everything else, other than urgent day-to-day stuff that comes up basically every day, everything else just has to go out of my mind. And I just got 2 projects. Get the garage organized and usable, and get the solar up. So if I think about it like that, I think I'll be able to make that part happen. As far as the rest of the homestead, well, who knows what's going to take place. But anyway, that's what's going on. Thanks for watching, and just a reminder, if you're thinking about homesteading, springtime with animals plus thinking you should do projects, everything hits you all at once, and it's crazy and chaos. But you got to remember, if you start homesteading, that is the life you chose. Have a good one, guys. Catch you next time.
The vision narrates his life, cutting firewood, draining beasts away from city strife. The ducks they roam freely, a quiet army true. Muscovies in the meadow.